Very excited for this week's episode. I have an amazing celebrity makeup artist with me, Gianluca. It's a dear friend of mine. I've worked with him now for a few years, and I felt like he has some really interesting perspectives about his industry. And I'm super curious and I'm super excited for you guys to meet him. Welcome, Gianluca.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I'm pretty excited for this.
I'm also excited. And I'm so happy that you made it so early here in the morning. Are you a morning person or like a night owl?
I am a morning person, honestly, because I usually don't like to sleep very late, especially if I'm shooting. I always start to be in bed at 11:30. So in the morning, even if I'm off the day after, I like to be an early person, yeah. And now I also got a cat. So it was the first night. It was my first night with my cat. So
how was it?
I got kind of anxious last night. So
I remember the first night when I got my dog. I didn't sleep at all.
Yeah, same tonight.
Oh no.
I didn't.
But you look very fresh.
Yeah, no, it's makeup. It's makeup.
Obviously, you're the expert. Do you usually listen to podcasts or?
I do. Actually, I do. There are like few arguments that I really like. There are topics that I'm really interested in it. So if there is something that I like, yeah, I do.
Is it more like you listen to it or you also watch them? Like those audio? Both.
I really like to watch them because I really like the way that the people talk to each other, the interaction that there is between each other.
Yes.
And so yeah, if I can watch it, I prefer. And sometimes if I'm just traveling and I don't have the time to watch, I just listen.
Yeah,
because
that
even
makes
if you
sense.
listen, the things that stay stuck into your head, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I also like to see a face to the voice that I'm hearing. I think, yeah, I also prefer that. Well, you're a very, let's say, important makeup artist. You like do makeup on a lot of celebrities. You traveling a lot,
Thank you.
like whoever sees your Instagram profile, like it's very impressive.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that because from my perspective, I'm feeling like I'm still working on that, you know. But I think it's like a problem of many artists.
Absolutely.
The way that it looks like if we are never happy with the things that we do. So for us or for people like me, it's like if it's never enough. So we are always we are constantly trying to improve and to work a bit more in the things that we do and we love. And in my Instagram, for example, I'm still working on that. Yeah, I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to figure out the direction that I should give because sometimes I would like to post more things about my personal life. But then I remember, oh no, I shouldn't because I'm a makeup artist. So people, they want to see what I do. But today people are also very curious to see not only what you do, but also what is your life.
Definitely.
So sometimes if you can match the two things, your personal life and your career and your passion, it's interesting because it shows like the real you.
Definitely. I felt like really becoming a personal brand or also showing who you are.
Yes.
It's something that I'm also curious about when I book people or when I go on someone's Instagram, because of course the work is impressive and I'm like, oh wow, you worked with that celebrity and that celebrity, but I want to know who you are, how you are on set, like what's your personality? Because at the end of the day, it's a people's business and you really want to have a good vibe when you work.
Yes, that's true. Well, we worked together already a few times. And I think that you're actually one of the first person I met here in Dubai. Well, I can say that...
Give me the compliment.
You were one of the best, yeah. I can say that I'm a very charismatic person. So I really like my job. And sometimes I actually take my job too seriously in the way that I get very disappointed if the things that are not going in the way that I decided. I'm a usually very fun person and I really like to be happy on set. But you know, we are also human beings. So most of the times our personality in set changed because anyway, we take our problems on set, which is a thing that we shouldn't do. But I always try to bring some good energies.
You do.
This is what I try to do because anyway, even if we struggle with our own problem, we also need to remind the clients and the people that we work with and celebrities and models or whatever, they like to work with us and they remember us because of the positive vibes that we have on set. So if you go there with a very bad mood, you're not going to only lose the client, but you're also going to lose the respect that the people had for you.
Absolutely. And maybe there's like a traumatic experience, for people. What do I need to know about you and your upbringing, where you're from, to understand the person that you are today?
I can say that it's a very interesting story because I come from a very small village in Sardinia, which is like only 14,000 people. It's a very tiny village. The kind of village that everyone knows each other, and you just walk on the street and you say hi to everyone, and
everyone knows each other's business.
Exactly. Everyone knew my business basically, and everyone is like dressing in the same way. So I come from that place, and I was like 18 when I decided to move from Sardinia to Milan because I was a dancer in the past. That was my previous career.
You told me that once, right?
That was my previous career. And I was a contemporary dancer, but I couldn't be fully myself in my own village. So I had to change. And I went to Milan when I was only 18. That was not the worst decision of my life, but the hardest decision of my life. Because for people that know me, they really know that I'm a very family guy. So I love my mom, I love my niece. Family for me, it's everything. And be detached, let's say, that from my mom at age of 18, that was like the biggest shock of my life. So I moved from there to Milan to study dancing in academy school, which was an amazing experience because I was starting to dancing and acting and singing because I wanted to be a star. Basically, that was my dream. Then while I was studying in the academy, I had the chance to work with choreographers, traveling to Europe and traveling to Italy when we had like performances and shows. And then I had a problem with my knees. So I had to change career. And it was just one day I was just talking to my friend and she say, Luca, I'm going to do a makeup academy. So what you gonna do? And I perfectly remember that in that time I was working like as a manager in a boutique because I had to
provide, make money.
Exactly, I had to make money because my parents were like, Luca, we paid already a lot of money for your expensive school. We're not gonna give you money, so you need to provide something for yourself now. And I was like struggling. I was trying to figure it out what to do. And this was like when I was like 24th already. I was not very happy about that, about being a manager in a boutique. It was not my dream. It was fun, but it was not my dream. And then I said to my friend, I think that I will join you, definitely. Then I went to a school. I've asked for the last help to my parents. And the school was only for 6 months, no more. And after that, I immediately started to work. But I spent a year working in the retail with companies because I was always afraid to make the big step, let's say that, and work as a freelancer. Because anyway, if you work as a freelancer, you need to be sure that you have enough people to work with. You have clients. Because if you don't have clients, you don't work, you don't make money. And a city like Milan can be extremely expensive if you don't have money.
I remember that time when I finished school and I was working as a waitress and, the jobs that you do to keep yourself above water. And I remember just when you mentioned the transition between being fully freelance, I think because a lot of people ask me, oh, when was the right time for you to fully be self-employed? And I feel like this is like a sweet spot that you really have to feel yourself because obviously you have to balance both. You need to pay your rent, you need to pay your bills. But I feel like at some point, and this is regardless of how many jobs are coming in, because you could be busy and booked for 3 months, but then 3 months, nothing comes in.
Exactly.
Like you can never kind of predict it. So I feel like everyone has this inner calling at some point where you're like, okay, no, enough. I'm going to go full freelance. I'm going to maybe suffer for 1 or 2 months, but it's time for me. Was
Yeah.
that similar?
Because if you don't take the risk, you never know.
Yeah.
So it's easy to stay in the comfort zone, do things that, let's say, that makes you happy, that they give you the money to buy your clothes and travel and pay for your dinner or whatever. But if that's not your dream, somehow you are suffering, because if you are an artist, and we are artists, your art is not, your creativity is not being expressed, So this is why I decided at some point to take the risk, and that's when I left everything after 12 long years in Milan. I was extremely tired of that city. I was very tired of the fashion industry in Milan, and I left everything and I moved to India.
Oh, wow. So India came first before Dubai?
Yes.
Wow. How was that? Like, because I can imagine that was like a big cultural difference.
There was a
And
shock, honestly.
yeah, did you know anyone in India?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
That's why I moved to India.
Okay.
I had a friend, also a makeup artist. He was one of the biggest makeup artists in Bollywood industry in that time.
Okay.
And we were actually dating at some point in Italy. So that's why we reconnected. And it was like a very curious coincidence, because I was breaking up with my ex-boyfriend after 3 years of a relationship in Milan. And he was breaking up with his boyfriend in India. And then we reconnected at some point, and I was like, I think I need a change. And he said to me, Luca, I will give you the chance to have a change. So just come here. Just be crazy, leave everything behind, and come here. I will help you to find an agency. And
Love
this is
that.
what he did. I had a meeting with an agency in India. And the meeting, I still remember the meeting was like, I was traveling from south to, I don't remember, maybe I was in Sicily, and I was going back to Milan. And I had a meeting on the train with the booker of the agency.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And she said to me that day, Luca, honestly, for me, you can come whenever you want. Just come anytime. Just, I will send you the papers and come. And that was in November. I don't remember. Maybe it was 2017, 2018, something like that. And then they sent me the papers in November. But I had a chance to move actually to India in March.
Okay.
Because in a way it was the process, and then there was Christmas, and I wanted to spend Christmas with my family.
Was it like an exclusive contract?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
wow. Well, that's a jackpot, right? If you move to another country, you are kind of safe with an agency.
Yeah,
And
of course.
you immediately have like a touch point instead of just like really starting from zero,
Yeah.
connecting with people in the industry.
Especially in a country like that, anyway. If you are European, of course, you have like, let's say you're lucky, because they still see people and they still see artists like for what they are. So you come from Italy, and for them you're like let's say a celebrity, something like that, and they actually treat you in that way.
Really?
Yeah, that was amazing. And then I moved there with an exclusive contract with them. It was my very first time in India. I had no idea about India. I was not even Googling and checking pictures, because I don't want to even see that, because if I don't like it,
Yeah.
I know that I will miss my chance. So I just left. I left after 12 years in Milan, went to India, and that's when I had a shock. Yeah,
How long did you stay in India?
2 years.
2 years. Wow. That's crazy. Did you do like any Bollywood artists?
Of course, I did.
Because I remember doing a job with you here in Dubai, and it was with Disha Patani, actually.
Yes.
And you knew her already from your times in India.
Yes, because I worked with her in India a few times, and she's one of the actors that I worked with in India. And but I was working in Bollywood. I wanted to work mostly in fashion, but in India, even fashion is related to Bollywood actors. So they do covers, they do campaigns, they do anything. And also for my agency in India, it was easier for them to push me in the Bollywood industry. So that's when I started to work as a makeup artist for a specific actor, which is Arjun Kapoor. He's part of our Kapoor family in India. And then I started to work with Disha, and then other actors came. And so I spent 2 years, which is like pretty long, honestly, for India, for the Indian industry. Because as I said before, India is difficult. So deal with that, being Italian, and it's no easy.
Well, talking about the Kapoors, you just did a Vogue cover
Yeah.
with Kareena Kapoor,
Yes.
one of my favorite Bollywood actresses. I think the circle just closed when you did that. How was, I mean, in general, how is it doing a cover with a celebrity or working with a celebrity in general? Is it any different, or what's the difference between working with a model, an agency model, and then in comparison with a real TV personality or someone famous?
So let's say that when you work with models, well, of course they're beautiful. I'm not saying that actors are not beautiful in the same way, but when you work with models, they trust you. They fully trust you. Also because sometimes they don't have choices. I mean, you receive the mood board from the client or from the magazine. So this is the mood board, and if you like the makeup or not,
It's
there
the
is not
client
much
who
that you
decides,
can do. But when you work with actors, that's different because they already know what they like. They already know how they want to look. So even if you try to change, especially if you work with them for the first time, and if you try to change and try to give them your idea and maybe make their look a bit more glamour, or maybe a bit more European, because this is what I usually try to do. It's difficult that they trust you. But it's always a very good experience, and it's always very exciting. And you cannot wait to see the final result.
Yeah.
So every time is like
I
very
love that.
interesting.
What advice would you give to a makeup artist that is trying to get to work more with personalities, with celebrities, someone who really tries to, take the next level in their career?
Well, I can say that I would give them the advice that I've never received, basically, because today you really need to be very good with social media, as I said before.
That's true.
Most of the bookings and most of the appreciation they came from social media. And the more you post, the more you're like a charismatic person, and the more you get jobs. And somehow this is like a sad part, but it's also very interesting to see how the market is changing also, and it's going in this direction, So I would say just to be extremely smart, to don't be afraid to even post silly things or like to show yourself, because this is when the people start to like you.
Yeah.
And of course, creativity is like the must, and being like in the right place, in the right moment, being only surrounded by people who work in the fashion industry. This is something that you should do, and it's one thing that I used to be like very into that market. So I was always partying, like going to the right place and going out with the right people, and especially when I was in Milan. And then I stopped that because anyway I also changed, and I started to be like quiet, and
More introverts.
I really and appreciating my time at home and with my Netflix and and but then I realized that I was getting less jobs actually. And people, they were like kind of forgetting me, because they cannot just remember you because of your Instagram. So you need to be always there. You need to remind that people that I'm here. You remember me. You remember what I'm able to do. So
I agree. Yeah, definitely just putting yourself out there. And also the advice that I received, and I felt like this is maybe also suitable, that just put out work, even if it's unpaid, organize a shoot and do the work and show the work that you want to be booked for.
exactly.
For example, if you do amazing eyeliners, or you feel like bronzy makeup is like really your strength, organize a shoot, get some people together.
That's also very true. One of the things that I also changed during this year is that I try to push myself a bit more, because especially when it comes for makeup, we know what we can do. We know how to do it. And because we know that, we are also afraid to change. So we are afraid to try and different things.
Yeah.
So we don't want to go out from the comfort zone. So if I want to do like a crazy eyeliner, but I've never done it before. So maybe I'm like, should I do it? Should I maybe just leave this to other people that are like more comfortable with that? But that's actually when the challenge came. So the challenge came in that moment, when you are pushing yourself.
Definitely.
And so yeah, because we are artists, we should try to do as much as we can, and we also try to, as you say, plan shootings and test shoot and try to work with as many people as you can, because you also create connections.
Definitely. I
But
agree.
creativity comes also from it comes from passion for sure, but you also need
To grow.
to grow.
Yeah. Was there during your career someone significant that you would call a mentor, or someone that kind of guided you along your journeys, or someone that you looked up to?
Wow, that's a question.
Because I remember for me, it was the owner of the school where I did my hair and makeup education. And I've said that so many times, but I always have to repeat it. Her name was Cecilia, and she was my mentor. She was like my guiding person during my time in Berlin when I did my hair and makeup school. And she really showed me how it's possible, especially as a woman, to do everything. Because I feel like we women sometimes are put into this position, okay, are you now focusing on your career or on motherhood or on this and that? And she had like 3-4 kids. She was managing motherhood. She was managing her hair and makeup school. She was a hair and makeup artist, obviously, by herself. She was still doing jobs. Plus, she had an agency. She was also doing production. Like
She was a full package.
She was the full package, and I still, until this day, I look up to her so much. And I feel like, because at that time I didn't know what was being self-employed. I didn't know that being a hair and makeup artist was being self-employed. I thought I'm gonna be at the counter in the mall or something. And she really introduced me into this world and showed me, okay, this is what we can do with this if you want to. So I was wondering if there was some specific person in your life.
So I had like few people in my life that they push me, and not necessarily from the industry. There is like my very best friend in Sardinia, and she always been like extremely. She always believed in me as an artist, and she's the one that always say to me, "Luca, look what you can do, look what you can create." Because my problem for years and years has been that I've never been very confident about myself, about the things that I could do with my job, and also about myself as a person, no? And that comes from things that you experience in your past and whatever, because what you experience even in your childhood or what, it has a big impact in your future.
Definitely.
So sometimes all of these things, they block you. So even they block your creativity and they block your true self and the way to express yourself. And she was the one that always pushed me to that and to make me believe in myself. But it's not someone related to the industry, as I said before. When it comes from people that are part of the fashion industry, I've been looking for like all of the artists around and the way that they made their career, and no matter what, and no matter how many bad things they had in their life and they have to go through in their life, that's also a big strength, because if they could make it, I can make it.
Then you can make it.
Everyone can make it. I mean, you just need to believe in yourself and you just need to be strong.
So another question that I think could be very, very interesting for other makeup artists, when it comes to shadowing, people shadowing you, people assisting you. For example, I get a lot of questions in my DMs. Hey, if you ever need an assistant, if you ever allow someone to shadow you, please let me know. Like, I'm so happy to do that. And I always like smile when I get those requests, because I'm like, oh my God, really? People want to shadow me? That's such an honor. But yeah, like during my career, I figured out, obviously there are some guidelines for assistants. so that an assistant can really help you and be of help when it, especially when it comes to big campaigns. And how would you say, or what is a great assistant? Like, what's the feeling for you when you really have someone on set that is of help and that you can rely on? Maybe for people that want to shadow you or want to get into a little bit of assisting work. Like, what's a good assistant to you?
Well, I would say that also one of the main things when you work with an assistant is like also the chemistry that you have with that person, no? Because you can be the best assistant in the world, but if we don't have a good energy, the chemistry between us is like not the best. There is no way that I can even appreciate your job. In the way that even if you're a good makeup artist, no, but this is also one of the things with me, like, and it's not only about makeup, it's for many other things. Like if there is a singer that I really don't like his face, sometimes I don't even like his voice. No?
Wait, what's your zodiac sign?
Cancer.
Oh, I'm a Leo. That's why we get along so well.
I'm a double Cancer, actually.
Oh,
So,
really?
yes. That's the
Dangerous.
worst. That's the worst. Anyway. So, yeah, when it comes from assistant, it has to be like, of course, a good makeup artist, yeah. But also the energy between us has to be the right one. And you also have to listen to me, first of all, because you are there for me. So sometimes it happened that there were assistants that they were like doing the opposite.
Yeah.
And or they were just not listening to me, or maybe at some point they were just talking to the client or like sharing their number with the client. That happened to me one time in Paris.
Oh, that's 101 assistant etiquette. No go.
And I remember that at the time in Paris, I was extremely upset because she was there for me. And she was not only sharing her number with the client, but she was also flirting with the client. And then at the end of the shooting, I say, no, not with me. And not the next time, because you're not going to come with me again. Because you're there for me. So if you want to just talk to the client, it's okay, because you're a human being and I'm not going to stop you with that. But boundaries and respect my job. So yeah, there are many few things when it comes to work with the right assistant. So it's a respect thing, and it's like a chemistry thing, and it's like it has to be also talented. It has to be good with that. I remember back to India. At some point, I had 4 assistants, so it was actually crazy. And one of the best one was my first assistant, Priyanka, but she was adorable. Honestly, I miss her every day because she was doing so many things for me. She was coming to pick me up with a car, and then we were going to the set. She was like setting up everything. She was like checking with the client if the breakfast was fine for me. She was checking with the client if the lunch was fine for me and it was not too spicy because I don't add spicy food. She was even too much sometimes. I mean, she was so nice. She was too nice. So I'm not saying that now the assistant that they have to be like in that way, checking for your lunch.
Your
for
servants.
They don't have to be in that way. But for sure, they have to be gentle. They have to respect you. They have to be good with what they do. And just remember that they are like, they're also there for you. They're there even to learn something else from you. And I also learn something from them. So it's a sharing thing, you know?
Yeah, I remember when, like, one of my assistants, Sabiha, I remember the first time I've worked with her. So I came on set and I said hi to everyone. And usually I first say hi to everyone before I unpack my kit. So I just turned around to say hi to the client, and I turned back around and my suitcase was gone. I'm like, where's my suitcase? And I looked at the makeup station and she was fully unpacking everything. And she was even sorting out like my pin box. The pins were sorted color by color.
Oh, wow.
The pens were like pointy and sanitized, everything. And I was like, oh my God, she like this.
That's amazing.
I appreciate that so much because it's not about the act that you tidy up everything for me. It's like you understand that you're actually saving me time. I can really focus on being head of makeup and deliver a good job and not focus on now, I don't know, like cleaning the brushes or something like that. So she she was the first assistant ever who was like really attentive, and like I could say so many positive things about her. But I agree definitely with you. No go is really just initiating conversations with the client that, you know, could result in you guys connecting with each other, which initially is nothing. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a time and place. And as you said, you're here for me. You're here to help me, and you're you actually get to experience all of that. So I get that it's sometimes very overwhelming. People have never been behind the scenes on set, fashion weeks. Oh my God, cameras, celebrities. So I understand that. Oh my God,
That
I
can
want
be
to have everything of
exciting. Yeah,
that.
of course.
But you have to be respectful and yeah, just be mindful of the situation. I agree, definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like also when you take new people on set with you, and maybe it's their first experience, and they see in celebrities and actors, so they get
Yeah.
extremely excited and they start to take pictures and selfie. And honestly, in my career, I've never took a single selfie with a celebrity that I work with.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm guilty. I did.
I wanted to take actually the last job that we did together with Belen.
Did we take one? No, we didn't.
We didn't, but at some point I wanted to do it, but I didn't. But because sometimes I also think about that,
Yeah.
and of course that's their job, but they're also human being, and
It's their
I'm
private
sure
time.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it's also very stressful for them, no?
Yes.
So especially in that moment when you're doing makeup and you're doing hair and you're getting ready, especially if you're like going for a big event or whatever it is, it's you don't want to have also that thing to take a selfie with a makeup artist.
Yeah.
So and also not everything has to be recorded and posted, you know? Sometimes things can just stay stuck into your head and in your memories.
That's true. Did you ever have a job or a booking where you really fucked up?
Oh my God, yeah, recently.
Me too. Okay, you share yours first.
I think I had more than one, honestly. Actually, yeah, it was like the first one, it was in the beginning of my career. It was my very first job. I was in Milan, and Italian photographer that I worked with like a few times in the past, after that experience, he booked me for a shooting. And but I was not taking my job very seriously at the time, and I didn't show up on set.
How? Like you were partying before?
I
Or?
I was not partying. I didn't want to wake up,
Oh no.
so I just stay on bed. I stayed on bed, and yeah, then I received like 1,000 messages from him, like horrible messages from him, of course, because it was a full production just waiting for me. So they had to find someone else, and you cannot find a makeup artist on the same day, like 1 hour before the shooting. But I was only 20. Come on,
I was just a boy.
I was just a kid, so I made a mistake. Come on.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah, we all do.
I think my recent fuck up, it was like so embarrassing. It was actually a booking that came through a friend, through a colleague here. And it was for a Russian singer. And we were supposed to shoot on a boat, on a yacht. And like I produced on yachts. I spent a huge amount of time in my life on boats. So I usually don't get seasick. So I arrived to the deck and everything, and I was guided downstairs or below deck to set up my makeup. The stylist was also there below deck, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel kind of strange. But okay, I set up my whole equipment. And we started to drive out, you know, up into the sea, and I felt like, ooh, wow, this is going to be shaky. And at that point, I started to regret it because I was like, oh, why didn't we do the makeup in a hotel or in the
Yeah.
studio before that? So the stylist started to get seasick. She was like, oh my God, she started to sweat.
Everyone
and-
was getting sick.
and I was like, oh, just look at the horizon, because someone recommended me to look at the horizon, you know, at a straight line, and then it would get better. Pills never work with me. So I started to look at the horizon. I was very confident. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So this singer, she's like one of the most famous singers. So I was like, oh my God, I can't fuck up. So I started to do her makeup. She came downstairs or below deck. I started to do it and I'm like, I started to get cold, shivers, started to sweat. And I'm like, oh my God, how should I do this eyeliner? How should I do this lip liner? So I tried everything. At some point, I was scared that I would vomit on top of her. And I said, hey, let's go upstairs, maybe onto the fresh air, because the lighting is better. I tried really for her not to notice that I felt really bad. We got upstairs. Obviously, she's like confused. What are we doing upstairs? And I kind of started to do her hair, and I felt like, oh my God, I cannot finish this job. So I did really kind of bad work. I sat outside. People now noticed, okay, like I felt really bad. They gave me black tea. They gave me the pills. They gave me the lemon to like lick on the lemon. It didn't get any better. So they had to send a rescue boat
No way.
to pick me up with my half-finished makeup. I had to leave my full equipment there. I needed to instruct the stylist. Here's like the concealer, just like powder her and dab her. She had to do my job. They had to take me with the rescue boat back on land. And I'm telling you, as soon as I stepped on ground, everything gone. I felt amazing again.
But that's also why we need good assistants, you know? I mean, they are not supposed to do our job. I know that.
That's true.
But if there is a situation like that,
Yeah.
it happened to me, a very similar thing back to India. We were traveling from Mumbai to Jodhpur in Rajasthan. And the client, instead to take the flight, decided to take a sleep bus. So we were like 20 people in this massive sleep bus, and we traveled for 18 or 17 hours. That was a crazy trip. So, you know, that one of the first rules when you go to India or in places like that is that you shouldn't eat street food.
Okay.
Especially like fresh food or like a tomato or salad that has been washed with the water. Because the water is like, it's not clean water.
Okay.
But honestly, after 17 hours of that, I was just exhausted, and we stopped on the middle of the way, and we found like let's say this random place, and they were selling sandwiches and things like that, and I wanted to eat. And not considering and not even thinking of that, I took a sandwich with tomato and salad.
Yeah, because at some point you're like, I'm hungry.
Exactly, and it was the easiest thing. So I had that. I just made it to reach the hotel, and I started to feel sick.
Oh.
But not just
Like strange.
sick, like crazy sick.
Oh, no.
I got fever. I mean, you had the reaction that I'm not going to tell you now, but I got extremely sick. And the shooting was the day after, in the Blue City in Jodhpur, and I had 2 models, and also my assistant was with me. But I had to do my job, and at some point I said to the client, listen, I'm going to do the makeup. My assistant, she will stay here. I'm not going to go back to the hotel and sleep or whatever. I will just need to stay here in the shadow. But it was insane.
Thank God you had an assistant.
Thank God I had an assistant.
Yeah, because I didn't have
and
one.
it was Priyanka, which was even better anyway. So
Oh, okay. No, that was really... And the worst thing about it is just it came through a colleague, you know? Like, I felt so bad because the people didn't know me, but they trusted me because of that person who recommended me. So it was... But yeah, it's a funny story to tell. What would you say, or what advice would you give if someone wants to get started as a makeup artist, like from zero? Would you recommend doing a hair and makeup school? Are there certain steps where you feel like are extremely important before getting started?
So I always say that one of the best things to do is like go to school, to academy school, and study because you need how to do things.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people or nowadays think that just doing some tutorials on Instagram or YouTube is enough?
Yeah, well, that's not enough for sure. But sometimes we also need to consider, and there is like one thing called talent. And I learned this big lesson in Italy. I was already working since years, and there was this guy I know from Italy. He used to be a drag queen in the past, and he came to me one day. He messaged me. He messaged me on Instagram saying, "Look, I just wanna start as a makeup artist. I was thinking that maybe if you could take me with you to the set. I don't want to assist you. I just need to look because that's the best way for me to understand and to figure it out and fix the things." I say, "Okay, you can do it. You can come with me. I'm not gonna let you work anyway because I don't know if you're good or not.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna let you do my job." And he came with me one day on set, and he was just sitting and looking at me, and that's it. And at some point, the client came to me and say, "Look, who's this guy? Why is this guy just sitting on the couch doing nothing?" It's like, "Yeah, it's just my friend. He just came as a supporter, you know." Then he started to work, and you have no idea how good it is. It's so good. He works with one of the biggest agencies in Milan, and he recently did like a key makeup artist for Antonio Maura's fashion show. But the creativity and the talent is incredible, and he's never been in a single school, never studied makeup. So sometimes, yeah, you need to study because you need to how to do things, but there are like few people that they like their own talent.
I agree. I know a few artists that have never been to school, but they did things like your friend. They went on jobs and they were just looking. They just looked and they're like, what's going on? Because I feel like a school, obviously, first of all, the techniques.
Yeah.
It's helpful. But also a school, I feel like, teaches you the different eras. Like what was trendy in the 80s? What's a 70s makeup, you know? I feel like, therefore, a school is really, really important. Also things like your setback, things like that. How do you talk to clients? I feel like, therefore, it's really helpful. But I agree. I know a lot of artists that haven't been to school that are super successful. But even though they didn't go to school, they put in the work. So yeah, I agree. Like you just have to really get into the topic, whatever works for you best, just to get to know the topic, the consistencies, the styles, the eras. I knew someone that worked on Fashion Week, for example, in Paris, just looking, like you said, your friend, just looking backstage, seeing, okay, what's the vibe? Who's doing what? And that's how that person got started.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's the real talent.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. I like that.
What's your, if your life was a movie, what would be the soundtrack of it? Is there
The
like
soundtrack.
Yeah,
Oh,
one
wow.
life theme song.
Oh my God, that's another big question. The soundtrack of my
The
life.
soundtrack of your life. I also have to think about that. I don't know. I have like 10 songs that are my absolute favorites, but
You know that's an interesting question because I'm a huge fan of soundtracks from movies. I'm a very passionate about movies. So I could watch a movie like a different movie every night, or sometimes I watch even 2 movies a night. And the things that remind me at that specific movie, and it stays stuck into my head, is the soundtrack. So sometimes I just save soundtracks. But because I'm Italian, you know the Italians, we like drama.
dramatic.
I'm so dramatic. You have no idea.
I know.
You have no idea. So I would say I can tell you the composer.
Yes.
That is like Ennio Morricone.
Oh my God, no way.
I can say
I
that.
love him.
There is a very beautiful movie of him with the soundtrack. It's an Italian movie. And the name of the movie is Nuovo Cinema Paradiso. It's an Italian movie, but it's very old. When I was still living in Italy, he was performing so many times in Verona. And I was literally living 1 hour Milan from Verona is like 1 hour and 30 minutes, 1 hour and 20. So I always wanted to go, but then I was constantly busy, and then Purimi passed away, so I never had the chance to do that,
Oh.
unfortunately.
But his music will live on forever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is one of the biggest, and the other one could be a song like any music from Hans Zimmer. I also really like him. I recently went to a candlelight here in Dubai, and there were like most of his soundtracks.
I was in the opera, right?
The one that there was one of the opera, but the one that I saw it was like right here in. It was here in Marina anyway, somewhere in Marina. I don't remember where.
Nice.
It was very beautiful, very beautiful, and I was like also there was the perfect time for me to see that concert because anyway I was like going through something, and all these dramatic songs they were like. In the right moment, and
They
they were touching
resemble
me.
your emotions.
Yeah, they were moving something. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you so much for joining me today,
Thank
Gianluca.
you for having me again. It was my pleasure.
So lovely to have you here. And I'm sure a lot of aspiring artists can take a lot of your input today. And yeah,
I hope
thank you so much.
I hope so. Thank you.